Good morning, children. Sai Ram. I welcome you all to the online class of economics. Children, today we are going to start next chapter, that is chapter number second, and the name of our chapter is collection of data. Children, this is the first video of this chapter, and in this video we are going to learn the basic introduction of data and what are the various forms of data and how we are going to collect the data. Second is we are also going to learn what is the primary and the secondary data, methods of collecting the primary data, construction of the cautionary schedule, census and sample investigation techniques, and we are going to learn what are the internal sources of data and the external sources of data. So children, let us start with the first topic, that is introduction of collection of data. So children, before we move ahead, let us learn first what is data. Children, data can be defined as the quantitative or qualitative value of a variable. For example, the number, images, words, figure, facts, or ideas. And it is the lowest unit of information from which the other measurement and analysis can be done. Or we can also say that data is one of the most important and vital aspect of any research study. As we are learning the data, more we can say that data are basically the observation or the evidence about the social world, and data, the plural of datum, can be the quantitative or the qualitative in nature. Data is produced, not given. That is, researchers choose what to call data. It is not just there to be found. This is the word which is given by Marsh in the year 1988. Our next topic is why we are collecting the data. Children, as you all know, when we are conducting any statistical investigations, then statistics have basically gained a significant place in the modern complex business world. Is the base on which the superstructure of statistical investigations is made. The success and the failure of investigation mainly depends upon the quality, adequacy, and accuracy of data. So the purpose of data is to obtain the various informations and to keep a systematic record on each you can say on each occurrence, to make decisions about the important issues, to pass information from one to others, and for research studies. These are the various purpose of collection of data. Now, children, how we are collect the data? Children, collection of data or the sources of data can be explained into different categories. The first one is the external sources, and the second one is the internal sources. And in external sources, we are also have the further classification. Like the first one is the primary data, and the second one is the secondary data. So let us start with the first uh, broad head, the internal sources of data as well as the external sources of data. So here we have a major differences between the internal sources of data and the external sources of data. Now, children, what is the internal sources of data? Children, in any organization, when the data is being collected from its report and records, then the internal sources of data. For example, a company publish its annual report on profit and loss, total sales, loans, wages, etc. So the data collected and compiled through the internal sources of data, and the internal sources is called as the internal data. Now the second is the external sources. Now children, the external sources refers to the data collected from outside the organizations. For example, if you can say that if there is any tour and organizations or any company, then it obtains the information on the various tourism from from all the various places, then it is known as the external sources of data. So the data collected and compiled through the external sources is called as external data, and external data can be collected from primary as well as the secondary data. So the sources of collecting the external data can be of two types. Now the first one is the primary data and the second one is the secondary data. So, as I just explained, children, many in internal sources of data I'm explaining, many institutions and department have informations about their regular functioning for their own internal process. Then it is known as the internal sources of data. And when the information is collected from outside the agencies, then it is called as the external sources of data. So when those informations are used in any survey, then it is called as the internal sources of data. And we have an example like social welfare societies are some of the internal sources of data. I mean, this is the example of the internal sources of data which collect the informations from its own reports and records. Now, if we're talking about the external sources of data, then such type of data are either the primary or the secondary, and this type of informations can be collected by census and sampling method by conducting survey. So now one thing arises, what is primary data? Children, primary data is the data which is originally collected by the investigator or any agency for the first time for some specific purpose is known as the primary data. So the sources from which the primary data is collected is called as the primary sources. For example, if you can see the population census conducted by the state government of India as well as the central government of India. So such data is originally in character and it is collected from the first time. Therefore, it is called as the first-hand information data, and primary data are collected and published. Um, I mean, the primary data once collected and published, then it becomes the secondary data. So, data that has been collected from the first-hand experiences is known as the primary data, and it has more reliable, authentic, and not been published anywhere. So the primary data has not been changed or altered by humans beings. Therefore, its validity is greater than the secondary data. I mean, the investigator or the numerator not been manipulated with such kind of data. It is the data which is being collected by the investigator himself in going into the field. That is why it is highly reliable, authentic, and you can say trustworthy in nature. Now the second is the secondary data. Children, the data which is not collected or which is not directly collected but rather obtained from the published or unpublished sources, then it is known as the secondary data. So the secondary data are those that have been already collected by others, and these are usually in journals, periodicals, research publications, official record, etc. These are the various fields where the secondary data has been used, and secondary data may be available in the published or an unpublished form when it is not possible to collect the data by primary method. Then investigation or the investigator try to conduct the investigation by the secondary sources of data. So the data collected for some purpose other than the problem at hand is known as the secondary data. Now here with this slide I have explained you the various methods of collecting the data. As I just said, there are two major sources of collection of data. The first is the primary sources and the second one is the secondary sources. Children, in the secondary sources we have our documents. I mean, the documents can be published or in unpublished sources. in where if you're talking about the published sources, then the government publications or earlier research, census, personal records, etc., were some of the sources of collecting the secondary sources of data. And for primary sources of data, we have the three major, you can say, classification. The first one is observation, second is interviewing, and the third one is cautionary. So, children, the observation can be non-observation as well as the observation can be the non-participant or the participant, and the interviewing can be of the two types, whether it is a structural or whether it is an unstructured. And the third is cautionary method, can be basically the two types. The first one is mailed method, mailing method, and the second is collective cautionary by the enumerators. These are the various methods. Now, let us learn the first kind of collecting the data, that is the primary sources of data. Children, the primary sources of data can be collected by the five different methods. Now, the first one is investigation through observation, and the second is investigation through mailed. Third one is investigation through local reports and questionnaire, through reporters and questionnaire. Now, the first one is indirect oral investigation, that is through enumerators, and the fifth one is direct personal investigation, that is interviewer method. Now, we are going to learn one by one all the methods of collecting the primary data. Children, the first method of collecting the primary sources of data is the direct personal observation. So, children, under the direct personal investigation, the personal interview, what actually happens is, under this method, the investigator collects the data by having a direct contact with the informant and conduct on the spot inquiry. So the investigator goes to the field personally, contact the respondent, and convince them in giving useful informations under study. So the investigator or the interviewer has the opportunity of explaining the study and answering any inquiry of the respondent. So the data which is collected by the investigator personally is known as the direct personal investigation, and that investigator must be a keen observer. A keen observer means he is in a such intention to collect the useful informations for its users. And the second is, he or she asks the cross examines the informant and collect the necessary informations. When we are collecting the numerical data, then the you can say the enumerators or the investigator has to do certain cross questions to get some of the meaningful inquiry. So it's all depend upon the enumerators and the investigator how to react according with the respondent. Read in a sense, how to seek the various informations from the respondent. And you all must be knowing the direct personal investigation. Under the direct personal investigation, whatever the statistical inquiry has been conducted, then it is an original in nature. Now we're learning about the suitability of this method. Children, the direct personal investigation can be, you can say, can be suitable when the following things has been adopted, or you can say the suitability of the direct personal investigations are as follows. Now the first one is when greater accuracy is needed. When we need to, when our intention is to find out the accuracy with the data collected, then such kind of method has been adopted. And where the field of inquiry is not large, the field of inquiry is not so large. I mean, when we are going to conduct it, the census method of collecting the total population of a country. Now, what we are going to do is the investigator or the enumerator has to go from door to door to collect the various information from each and every family living in a country. So that is why, by this way, the data which has been collected will be highly reliable, trustworthy, as well as useful for the various field of investigations. So when we're talking about the suitability, when detailed information has to be collected, is the first suitability. Now the second is when area of investigation is not much large, it is very short, and when the nature of inquiry is confidential and it depends upon the greater accuracy. And the fourth one is when maximum degree of accuracy is needed and when the importance is given to the originality. So this kind of methods will be applied in this various fields, and when the sufficient times is available or when the confidential data are to be collected, now has to be collected, then this direct personal investigation can be followed well. Now we have the merits and demerit as well. Now the first one is original data. Now we are going to learn first the merit and thereafter the demerits of the direct personal investigation. Now the first one is originality. Children, as you all know, the data collected is original in nature because the investigator has to be go to the field, and he or she is collecting the data by himself from the field. Now the second merit is true and reliable data. Children, this method facilitates basically the collection of authentic and the reliable informations, and this collection of data will be considered as the first-hand information. First-hand information is obtained by the investigator himself, and and he is also be more reliable and accurate. Now the next is encouraging respondent. Children, encouraging respondents became because of personal approach and a high degree of accuracy is needed. As we all know, this investigation is adopted only when a high degree of accuracy is needed. Uniformity, it provides uniformity in collection and information, and flexibility. This is again a merit. So under flexibility as the merit of this sources of collection of data, this method is fairly elastic as the investigation can vary the nature of the questions and seek different kinds of informations according to the need of the situation. So why what I'm going to say is, under this head, under this point, we are going to understand that the method is fairly elastic. I mean, the investigator can mold the various the rules and regulations according to the according to the part of investigation. So it is not like whatever the way we have been expressed, we have to be work accordingly. So if there is any need of changing the various numericals or the questions from the enumerators from the enumerators behalf, then he can changes the various way, and he can also and it can also helpful in seeking the various informations. Now the next is the demerit. The first demerit is unsuitable in the wide area or in the big area. So children, is not suitable where the field of investigation is very large. It is fully suitable where the investigation area is very small. And the third is and the second one is experience expensive and time consuming. So children, this kind of method is very expensive and time consuming because here we have to go from door to door to check the accuracy of the data, when we are conducting inquiry, and we have to just when we have to just conduct the investigations on the accurate basis, then we have to appoint the various enumerators who are going to who are going from door to door to collect the various informations, and on behalf we have to give the salary to the enumerators. That is why it is called to be a very expensive and time consuming. Now next is untrained investigator brings wrong results. It's always been said that when we are going to conduct any investigation inquiry, then we have to appoint the trained personnel. So if the entire children, as you all know, the entire success of this method depends upon the investigator. So the interviewer must be truly trained and unbased. Otherwise, they may not be able to collect the information, because if we are obviously cheating or doing wrong somewhere, then also we have to be when then we all have to be ready for the same way. Next is the indirect oral investigation. So, children, under indirect oral investigation, the investigator approaches the third party who are in the possession of the information about the subject of the inquiry. I mean, in this method, what happens is the investigator approach the third parties. I mean, the he is approaching the third parties which are in possession of the various informations about the study of inquiry. So this is known as indirect oral investigation, and this method is used when the area of investigation is very large, or the respondent of the requirement to part whether the information is due to various reasons. Now the next one is the people to whom these questions are put are known as witness. So the investigator prepare what the investigator is doing is the investigator prepare a small list of the questions relating to the investigation, and these questions have been frequently asked from the different persons, and their answers are being recorded. So such kind of inquiry is usually conducted when the police usually conducted by the police department, and inquiry committees where and the inquiry committee is appointed by the government. Now we have the suitability also. Children, this indirect oral interview or the investigation can be best suitable when the concern informations are labeled when the concern informations are unable to give informations due to their ignorance, or they are not part or they are not prepared to part for the information. So when the area of investigation is very large, then this indirect oral investigation has been adopted. uh, when the secret of sensitive informations about the informant has to be gathered. So these are the various suitability of this indirect oral investigation. It is more suitable when the area of investigation is to be very large, and it is used when direct informations can not be obtained, and this system is generally adopted by the government. So we have merit also and demerit. So the merit of indirect oral investigation is simple and convenient, save times, money and labor, useful investigation of the large area, and educate informations can be had. Now the demerits what we have with this indirect oral investigation, the informant cannot be relied as absence of the direct contact. An interviewer with an improper man will split the results. To get real data, a sufficient number of police are to be interviewed, and a careless attitude of the informant affects the degree of the accuracy. So, these are all the demerits of the indirect oral investigation. Now let's move ahead. Next kind of method is information through agencies or the correspondent. So children, under this method, the local agents or correspondents are appointed and trained to collect the informations from the respondent. So this the local agents or the correspondents will be appointed, and they collect the information and transmit to the office or the concerned person. Now the second is they do according to their own way and taste, and according to their own way and taste, and adopted by the newspaper agencies, etc. So you all know, when we are going to conduct any investigation by the correspondent, then we have to appoint a correspondent. Then what happens is he has to go from door to door to collect the various informations. That is why it is called as information through agencies. Now the second is they are according to their own taste and preferences. As I just said, it is basically the information about the local agencies, and the informant are generally called as correspondent. And suitability in this case is when the information is to be obtained at a regular interval of time from a wide area, then this will be applied. Now the information through agencies, I mean, what are the various informations supplied by the various agencies. Now the first one is merit, that is extensive informations can be had. So when the information from the correspondence has been allowed, then the extensive informations can be had. Second is, as it is the most cheap and commercial in nature. I mean, this method is very cheap and economic in nature, and speedy. When speedy information is needed, then this kind of indirect oral investigations can be conducted where uh, the uniformity cannot be maintained. This is again and demerit. And the next is the data may be the original. So these are the various demerits of this informations through agencies. And next demerit is when the degree of accuracy cannot be maintained. I mean, when it is not in focus to find or to maintain the accuracy, it is just to conduct the investigations. So uniformity cannot be the maintained, and data may not be the original. This is the some of the informations regarding the demerit and merits of the informations collected from the correspondent. Now the next is information through agencies. We have the information from agencies. We have two merits and demerits. This we have already understood in the previous slide. Now the next one is mailed cautionary. So, as the name suggests, is the mailed cautionary method. So, children, under this method, the investigator makes the list of the questionnaire pertaining to the field of the investigation and send it to the respondent along with a covering letter to collect the informations from them. So what happens in this mailed questionnaire is the investigator is sending a mail to the respondent. Now, once the mail is been received by the respondent, he will seek the various and he seek the various sophisticated and or the suitable answers of the query, and he or she just send it back to the investigator. So this kind of investigation will be called as the mailed cautionary method. So this questionnaire, the questionnaire, the list of the questions is sent to the respondent, and there are blank space for answers. The informant has to write the certain answers of the query, which is been given by mail by from the investigator. So a covering letter is also sent along with the questionnaire, as I just said, requesting the respondent to extend their full cooperation, and it is basically adopted by the research worker or private individuals, non-officially agencies, and even government. And it is appropriate in cases where the informations are spread out a wide area. I mean, when any information has been circulated in or near around, then this kind of information, this kind of collecting the data has been adopted. As the mailed, as we have the the merit and demerit. The first merit says that of all these methods, the mailed cautionary method is the most economical. Why it is called as economical? Because here we don't need to bear the various expenses of this of the, and in this way the this met in this method, basically the mailed cautionary method is the most economical in nature, the most economical in the nature, man. I mean, the investigator does not need to go to the various field. He is sending a mail to the respondent, and the respondent is sending revert or is reverting back his reverting back the answers. That is why it is called as the good mailing cautionary method. So it can be verified or it can be used when the area of investigations is comparatively enough large, and it saves money, labor, and time. As we have merit of one thing, we do have demerit as well. So the demerit says that this cautionary or mailed cautionary method cannot be sure about the accuracy and the reliability of the data, and there is longer delay in receiving cautionary duly filed in. Next is the survey, a detailed survey of geographical area to gather the data, attitude, impressions, opinions, satisfaction level, etc. by polling a section of the population is called as survey. In this, the correspondent has to be go into the particular concern areas, and he or she will just conduct a meeting, conduct a play where the peoples have been called, and in this way they are conducting a survey. So we are conducting a survey as been various three types. The first one is the census survey, continuous survey, and ad hoc survey. These are the three varieties of survey, and the merit is it's cover the large production. And when we are going to adopt this survey, then it is called also called as the expensive. So information is obviously accurate. We have the demerit also, like on small scale industry or the small scale survey, it is avoided. It is also called as time consuming, because here also the investigator has to be go from door to door to conduct the various informations. Now the information uh, does not penetrate deeply, and the last demerit is researcher must have a good knowledge. So all these are the demerit of the survey conducted. Then we have a case study also, as it is the most comprehensive study of social unit, which may be a person, a family, or an institutions, an organization, or even a community. So this all are the various ways of conducting a investigation, conducting an investigation, and also collecting the primary sources of data. So children, so far what we have understood first the introduction of data. Thereafter, what is the primary data? I mean the primary sources of data or the secondary sources of data. Why we call as internal sources of or external sources? Because it depends upon the way of collecting the data. Then we have studied the various methods of collecting the data. We have already learned that there are five methods of collecting the primary sources of data, in which the first one is direct personal investigation, second is the indirect oral investigation, third one is information from correspondent, fourth one is cautionary method, and the fifth one is and the fifth one is cautionary filed by the enumerator. So these are the various way of collecting the primary sources of data. So children, thank you so much for watching, and in the next video we are going to learn the secondary sources of collecting the primary data. So thank you so much for watching and have a nice day. Sai Ram.